All righty. Hey, everybody. Welcome to chapter 6 of The Science of Getting Rich here. It is February 28th. We're one day away from leap year. How riches come to you. When I say that you do not have to drive sharp bargains, I do not mean that you do not have to drive any bargains or that all that at drive any bargains at all, or that you are above the necessity for having any dealings with other people. I mean that you will not need to deal with them unfairly. You do not have to get something for nothing. You can give to every person more than you take from them. This is important because a lot of times we only measure this in sometimes money, sometimes energy. Can you leave a legacy with somebody? Right? What's the thing they say about somebody? Somebody may ask if they say, "Oh, have you ever met Sean, tall guy, right? He's got the thing on his head." Oh, I remember, right? It's the thing that stands out. What is it that stands out about you that you can leave with somebody that brings them value? You cannot give a person more in cash value than you take from them. You cannot give a person more in cash value than you take from them. But you can give them more in use value than the cash value of anything you take from them. The paper, ink, and other material in this book may not be worth the money you paid for it. But if the ideas in this book bring you thousands of dollars, you have not been wronged by those who sold it to you. How much are your ideas worth? Ever think about that? How much are your ideas worth? How much are the ideas that you're sharing, that you're giving away, worth to somebody? But if the ideas in this book brings you thousands of dollars, you have not been wronged by those who sold it to you. They have given you a great use value for a small cash value. Let us suppose that I own a picture which in any civilized community is worth thousands of dollars. I take it to Baffin Bay, and by salesmanship, I induce an Eskimo, an Inuit, to give a bundle of furs worth $500 for it. I have really wronged them because he has no use of the picture for the picture. It has no use value to him. It will not add to his life. But suppose I gave him a gun worth $50 for his furs. Then he has made a good bargain. He has use for the gun. It will get him more furs and much food. It will add to his life and it will add to his life in every way and make him rich. Let's go back to the picture for a second. Is it possible to argue that it would make him feel better? Is it possible? In this example, no, but is it possible that they could sit around and it gives the family something to do, something different than others? Does it elevate their social status in the tribe? Is it possible? Is it possible that social media has value? But for those who choose not or know not how to make it have value, to give them their own value back, many people have lost their lives to it. Pondering and scrolling and discarding and delaying and procrastinating. What's that phrase we heard in the social media movie? If the product is free, you're the product. When you rise from the competitive to the creative plane, you can scan your business transactions very strictly. If you see that you are selling a person anything which does not add more to his life than the thing he gives you in exchange, you can afford to stop it. My daddy always said, leave it better than you found it. A professional salesman will only sell you what you truly need. I think that's where sales sometimes gets a little kick in the shins, is because Some people are really good at sales, but they're not professional salespeople. You do not have to beat anybody in business. And if you are in business which does beat people, get out of it at once. Give every person more in use value than you take from them in cash value. Then you are adding to the life of the world with every business transaction. You are adding to the life of the world with every business transaction. If you have people working for you, you must take from them more in cash value than you pay them in wages. If you have people working for you, you must take from them more in cash value than you pay them in wages. But you can organize a business so that it will be fulfilled with the principle of advancement. Thus, each employee who wishes to do so may advance a little every day. You can make your business doing for your employees what this book is now doing for you. You can conduct your business so that it will be a ladder by which every willing employee may climb to riches himself. And if it's not your fault, if they do not, and it's not your fault if they do not accept the opportunity. Even though you can cause your riches to come out of the formless substance which permeates all of your environment, it does not follow that your fortune will immediately take shape from the atmosphere and come into being before your eyes. If you want a sewing machine, for instance, I would suggest that before you impress the thought of a sewing machine on the thinking substance, you must first make sure that the image of the machine is clearly formed in your mind. If you want a sewing machine, hold the mental image of it with the most positive certainty that it is being made or is on its way to you. And once forming the thought, have the most absolute and unquestioning faith that the sewing machine is coming. Never think or speak of it without feeling confident it will arrive. Hang on to that for just a second. Let's go back through that. I want you to think of the word vibration as you listen to this. After once forming the thought, have the most absolute and unquestioning faith, vibration, that the sewing machine is coming. Never think of it or speak of it without holding the vibration of confidence that it will arrive. Claim it as it is already yours. It will be brought to you by the power of the supreme intelligence acting upon the minds of men. See, so I don't know how many times I've read that sentence, but this is the one that just came in. Are your thoughts, how many of you ever played the telephone game? Have you ever played the telephone game? Green apples and red rubies turns into your mother's has Fritos between her toes. I don't know, but it's like, how did you get to there from here? Can you imagine if what this just says, listen, it will be brought to you by the power of the supreme intelligence acting upon the minds of men. Is this not saying that we need to help create the placebo in other people enough so that it can already happen? That we can have a clarity with such echoing, they can produce the thing that is imagined by our thought? This is why specificity and specifications and totality are best done as you imagine this vibration. If you live in Maine, and it may be that a person will be brought from Texas or Japan to engage in some transaction which will result in getting what you want. If so, the whole matter will be as much to that person's advantage as it is to yours. Do not forget the moment. Do not forget for a moment that the thinking substance is in everything. Do not forget for a moment that the thinking substance is in everything, communicating with everything, and able to influence everything. Vibration, vibration, vibration. The desire of thinking substance for more life and better life has caused the creation of all the sewing machines that have ever been made, and it can cause the creation of millions more. It will do so whenever people set in motion, when people set in motion by desire and faith, and by acting in a certain way. You can certainly have a sewing machine in your house. You can have anything you want as long as you use it for the advancement of your own life and the lives of others. You need not hesitate about asking largely. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom. The original substance wants to live as much as possible in you. It wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life. Your faith becomes invincible if you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with the desire of the supreme power for more complete expression. There's a lot in that sentence. Your faith becomes invincible if you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches, boy, there's a lot of harmony that needs to be in place. Faith. When all things seem untrue to the idea that you're holding, that's faith. When your faith becomes invincible, it becomes invincible. Oh, I have to have more faith. I have to have more faith. Well, fix it upon your consciousness. What are the thoughts that you're saying? How do you influence your thoughts? Physiology, focus, language, and meaning. It's about you shifting your vibration and getting into state. State gives you faith, gives you a knowing. Fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire, so faith and desire, your want, the desire you feel for the possession of the riches is in alignment, is one with the desire of the supreme power for more complete expression. I want to feel more. I want to live more. I want to do more. I know I can do it. I have to become consciously aware that I'm capable of more. I am worthy of more. That's a lot of taking care of you, aka vibration. Once I saw a little boy sitting at a piano and vainly trying to bring harmony out of the keys. I saw that he was grieved and provoked by his inability to play real music. I asked him why he was unhappy, and he answered, I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands go right. The music in him was the urge of the original substance, containing all the possibilities of all life. And that all that there is of music was seeking expression through the child. God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. He is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to plant or to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs. Now, I don't know if that's in the Bible. I'll probably GPT that later to see if, because it's in quotes. So I wonder who quoted it. I wonder who said that. That's a pretty great line. All that is possible is seeking expression through human beings. God wants those who can play music to have their instruments they need, to have the means to cultivate their talents to the fullest extent. He wants those who can appreciate beauty to be able to surround themselves with beautiful things. He wants those who can discern truth to have every opportunity to travel and observe. He wants those who can appreciate dress to be beautifully clothed and those who can appreciate good food to be luxuriously fed. Just sit with that for a second. Let that flow in. He wants all these things because he enjoys and appreciates them. It is God who wants to play and sing and enjoy beauty and proclaim truth and wear fine clothes and eat good food. It is God that worketh in you to will and to do. It is God that worketh in you to will and to do. The desire to feel for riches is the infinite, seeking to express himself in you as he sought to find expression in the little boy at the piano. You need not hesitate to ask largely, Bob Kane. You need not hesitate to ask largely. Your part is to focus and express the desires of God. This is this is the difficult point with most people. They retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. They look upon poverty as part of the plan, as a necessity of nature. They have the idea that God has finished his work and has made all that he can make, that the majority of humanity must stay poor because there's not enough to go around. People hold this erroneous thought so much that they feel ashamed to ask for wealth. They try not to want more than a very modest competence, just enough to make them fairly comfortable. I recall now the case of one student who was told that he must see in his mind a clear picture of the things he desired so that the creative thought of them might be impressed upon the formless substance. He's a very poor man, lived in a rented house. This is a great story. And having only one lived in a rented house and having only what he earned from day to day. He could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. Therefore, after thinking the matter over, he decided that he might reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor in his best room and an archetype and an anthracite coal stove to heat the house during the cold weather. Following the instructions given in this book, he obtained these things in a few months. Then it dawned upon him that he had not asked enough. He went through the house in which he lived and planned all the improvements he would like to make. He would like to make in it. He mentally added a bay window here and a room there, and he continued until it was complete in his mind as his ideal home, and then he planned his furnishings. Holding the whole picture in his mind, he began living in a certain way and moving toward what he wanted. He owns the house now and is rebuilding it according to his mental image. Now, with still larger faith, he is proceeding to get greater things, and it has been unto him according to his faith, and it is so with you and with all of us. Takeaways. That one kind of smacks you. A little flick right between your eyes.
Perfect example of what you think about, you bring about.
What you think consistently, right?
There you go. What you think consistently.
And it's because a lot of times, I know for myself, I can hold a lot of different images in my mind, but there's too many. It's kind of like holding too many phones to your ears. You can really only hear one. So it's why we have to have the DMP. What's the one that knocks over all the other dominoes? It's the 5 minute, the 21 reasons in 5 minutes. Every person who has ever come up with the one thing, when asked the question, wouldn't it be fair to say that if that one thing came true, the other 20 would come true as well? Yes. just by on the way to,
Makes so much sense when it's put into this context.
right? It's just it has to be all consuming. It's how miracles happen. It's how prayer happens and miracles happen because everybody's praying about the one thing, the one thing, the one thing. Some of you remember when we went to Desert Storm. Well, that was Bush. Then when Clinton came in, what most people don't know is that we were about to go attack Iran again. We had put the bombers in the air, right? I don't know how many hours it takes from the moment of go. Well, it's 4 hours till we get over land, depending upon where they take off. 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. If they're leaving the US here, it's whatever it is. But they take off, and we are committed to war. We don't know it. We're until the first bomb drops, he ain't making a single announcement. It just so happened that at that time, coincidence, Godsidence, a community of world thought leaders got together to pray for peace on the planet. They didn't know about the government's plans. They had no clue. Not till 30 days later did they find out that from the time they started their prayer for peace on the planet to the time they ended, it was about a 2 hours, 120 minutes, 60 hours, 2 hours, 120 minutes. In that time, for the first time in the history of us declaring war on somebody, we called the planes back. Nobody knows that. Very few. It was never made publicly. We never knew Clinton was going to a war, but the records are there. So, can prayer have influence? It can change the course of history. Let your desire become all consuming. Go nuts with it. Become cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over it. We need you to be that. Thank you, Heather. Who else? I enjoyed our time this afternoon chatting. Who else? Thoughts, comments, questions?
So when you manifest, it's a vibration or a feeling that you get.
Yes.
So everything is an indication of that vibration.
So if I were to take a set of tuning forks, A, Z's, D's, G's, and F's, right? You know where I'm going with this. And I set them all up all in my office here. And I were to take a D tuning fork. Now remember, A, Z, G's, everything is all standing on the floor in here. And I bang that D tuning fork. Which tuning forks vibrate? Only the D.
Yeah.
I got them all in the room. Sharps and flats and this is that's and everything else. Why is it that the D only activates the D's?
That's the vibration.
It's what it's tuned.
Tuned to.
And that's the key, is to tune our desire to that ultimate burning manifestation. Because it's not about manifesting for 6 people. It's about manifesting for one, so 600 can benefit. Right? How can we manifest for the one so the many can survive?